Good evening and welcome to the May 2nd, 2023 Brookings County Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. This meeting is being recorded, televised, and viewable on Swift Health Channel 19, ITC Channel 168, or the Brookings County YouTube channel. I now call the meeting to order. Approval of minutes. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Vanderwall. Second by Tryon. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Items to be added to the agenda by commission members or staff.
Just our regular staff report, sir.
Same here.
Invitation for citizens to schedule a time on the commission agenda for an item not listed. Pretty simple. Disclosure of conflicts of interest, relationships to the applicant, or ex parte communication. Is there a motion for approval of agenda?
So moved.
Motion by Bartley,
Second.
second by Paulson. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. We will now convene as the Brookings County Board of Adjustment. The Board of Adjustment is a 9-member board which has the power to hear requests for variances, conditional uses, appeals, and the non-ministerial decisions of the zoning officer. The concurring vote of 2/3 of the full board membership of the board, 6 votes is necessary for approval of a variance or an appeal of the zoning officer. The concurring vote of a simple majority of those board members present and voting is necessary for approval of a conditional use permit. In accordance with Robert's Rules of Order, we require a motion to approve a request before it can be debated. As a matter of policy, all motions are made in the positive. The board, under specific powers granted it by the state, shall authorize variances from the zoning requirements for special conditions existing on the land will result in an unnecessary hardship for the applicant. Financial disadvantage to the property owner shall not constitute proof of an unnecessary hardship. Agenda item 2023 variance 004, John Hemley has made in application 2023 variance 004 to the Brookings County Board of Adjustment for a variance Article 11, Section 11.01A Agricultural District Area Regulation. Number 8, non-conforming lots. The property is described as Outlot 1 in the northeast 1/4 of the southeast 1/4, Section 17, Township 111 North, Range 50W, Sterling Township. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Vanderwall. Second by Kleinjohn. Richard, would you read the staff report?
Yes, 2023 variant 004, John Henley has applied for a non-conforming rear yard setback variance to build a proposed 30-foot wide by 40-foot long shed addition with a 12-foot sidewall onto his existing shed, 38 feet from the rear property line, a variance of 12 feet. The required non-conforming rear yard setback is 50 feet. His current shed is 68 feet from the rear property line. There is a cement pad to the south of his existing shed, and there's water and sewer lines on the north side. The property was platted on April 4th, 1967, before the current zoning ordinance. And public notices were published in the Brookings Register on April 18th and 25th, and the Volga Tribune on April 20th and 27th. Letters were sent to the adjoining landowners, the Sterling Township Chairman and Clerk. This is his variance application. This is a site plan. Driveway, current sheds are here, his current shop. This is where a cement pad is, 30 feet wide, 40 feet long, and 38 feet between the west edge and this rear property line. This is the plat of the property. 315 feet deep. There's the beacon map. Just looking in towards the driveway, towards the yard from the driveway. This is on the south side looking north. The wheel is at 38 feet from the rear property line. This is looking south from the north end here. This is looking towards the west there. This is looking from the property line back in towards the building. Septic system, dry wells right here, water lines go in this area right there. Cement pad is right there on the south side of the building. And we did receive comment from the adjoining landowner, Mr. Haig, and also is also on the township board, saying they have no objections to the variance request. So that's all that I have, and the applicant is here this evening.
Thank you, Richard. The applicant, please come forward, take a seat at the chair, make sure the green light's on the mic, and clearly state your name.
Yep, John Himley.
You have anything to add to Richard's report?
No, that's pretty well covers all of it there.
Okay. Any questions from members of the board at this time? Just hang tight for a minute. I'll move the public hearing portion of this. Is there anybody in the audience that is for this? Seeing and hearing none, is anybody in the audience that is opposed to this? Seeing and hearing none, I'll close the public portion of the hearing. Move back to the board. Is there any additional comments or questions from members of the board? Seeing none, Richard, would you read the findings of facts? You could probably go sit back down.
Yes, variance 2023, variance 004, application for a variance have been filed with the Brookings County Zoning Commission, acting as the Brookings County Board of Adjustment, copy of the application being attached here too. Excuse me, such application being made by John Himley regarding the following real property. Outlot 1 of the northeast 1/4 of the southeast 1/4 of section 17, township 111 north, range 50 west, Sterling Township, 20463 468th Avenue, Bruce. After due notice, a public hearing having been held on the application on the second day of May 2023. Number 1, the Brookings County Board of Adjustment hereby finding that the strict application of the Brookings County zoning ordinance would produce undue hardship, that such hardship is not shared generally by other properties in the same district in the same vicinity, that the authorization of such variance will not be substantial detriment to adjacent property, and the character of the district will not be changed by the granting of the variance, and that the granting of such variance is based on reasons of demonstrable and exceptional hardship as distinguished from variations for the purpose of convenience, profit, and caprice. Number 2, the Brookings County Board of Adjustment further finds that the conditions or situation of the property concerned or the intended use of the property is not so general or reoccurring in nature as to make reasonable, practicable the formulation of a general regulation to be adopted as an amendment to the zoning ordinance. Number 3, the Brookings County Board of Adjustment further finding that the written application of the petitioner demonstrates that special conditions and circumstances exist which are peculiar to the land, structure, or buildings in the same district. That literal interpretation of the provisions of the Brookings County zoning ordinance would deprive the applicant of rights commonly enjoyed by other properties in the same district under the terms of this ordinance. That the special conditions or circumstances do not result from the actions of the applicant. And that granting of the variance requested would not confer on the applicant any special privilege or that is denied by the ordinance to other lands, structures, or buildings in the same district. Number 4, the Brookings County Board of Adjustment further finding that the reasons set forth in the application justify the granting of the variance, that the variance is a minimum variance that will make possible the reasonable use of the land, building, or structure, that the granting of the variance will be in harmony with the general purpose and the intent of the Brookings County zoning ordinance, will not be injurious to the neighborhood or otherwise detrimental to the public welfare. Number 5, the Brookings County Board of Adjustment further determines and conditions this variance upon the following special conditions or safeguards. A, property was platted on April 4th, 1967, non-conforming lot. Adjoining landowner James Haig in Sterling Township has no objections to the variance request. Water and sewer lines located on the north side and concrete pad on the south side of the existing building. The Brookings County Board of Adjustment, by at least 2/3 vote of its full membership, hereby grants the above petitioner variance for the above described real property as follows. Build a 30-foot by 40-foot pole shed addition with a 12-foot sidewall, 38 feet from the rear property line. This variance is specifically conditioned upon initial and continued compliance with all the conditions and safeguards in 5 above and upon compliance with all applicable provisions of the Brookings County zoning ordinance. The Brookings County Zoning Director, if approved, is authorized to issue any required building permits for construction consistent with the terms of this variance. If this variance is not used within 3 years of the date granted, it shall be invalid. Dated the 2nd day of May, 2023.
Are there any additions or corrections to the findings of facts?
Mr. Chair, I find that this application meets the requirements of the zoning ordinance as long as the findings of facts are followed. So I concur with the findings of facts.
Thank you, Mr. Vanderwall. Richard, would you call roll?
Yes, Bartley,
Aye.
Paulson,
Aye.
Storhog. Kleinjohn. Vanderwall,
Aye.
Gatsky,
Aye.
Troyan,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
and Ford.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Moving on, agenda item 2023 CU 009, Joseph Ness has made an application 2023 CU 009 to the Brookings County Board of Adjustment for a conditional use, Article 11, Section 11.01A, Agricultural District, Conditional Use Permit Number 20, Home Extended Business. The property is described as the southwest 1/4 excluding 1 acre and excluding H3 in Section 23, Township 110 North, Range 49W, Aurora Township, located at 47610 US Highway 14, Aurora, South Dakota 57002. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Troyan.
Second.
Who had that? Second by Gatsky. Richard, would you read the staff report?
Yes. (2023) CU 009, Joseph Ness has applied for a home extended business for the sales of used agricultural and construction equipment, pre-owned motor vehicles to include semi-tractors, trailers, ATV, new trailers, new short-line agricultural equipment, and limited equipment repair for the public. The hours of operation be 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. or by appointment. The applicant is located just east of the Aurora corner on US Highway 14. The property is over Zone B of the Aquifer Materials Map, and he will need to follow the performance standards in Section 4.0606 of the Aquifer Protection section of the Brookings County Zoning Ordinance. The applicant lives on the site in living quarters at the north end of the shop building. The applicant is a tenant on the property, and the landowner has no objections to the conditional use request. Public notices were published in the Brookings Register on April 18th and 25th, 2023. Letters were sent to the adjoining landowners, the Aurora Township Chairman and Clerk, and the South Dakota Department of Transportation. Here is the conditional use application. Here's his business plan. Note from his landlord saying he has no objections to the home extended business conditional use request. Here's his site map. Highway 14 is along right here. The driveway going into the property, shop and house right up in this area. The beacon map just showing the gold color being it's in the Zone B of the Aquifer Protection District. Here's just the regular beacon map. Here's the driveway, yard and open space right here. This is his shop and house building right here. This is just looking west from his driveway along 14, his machinery and truck lineup right there. This is looking back towards the east from the driveway. This is just looking from the driveway, the road in towards the yard. This is his shop and building right here. His living quarters are on the north end of the building. This is just off more open yard and open space to the west and northwest of his existing shop building. The applicant is here this evening, and that's all that I have.
Thank you. Would you please come forward, clearly state your name into the mic?
Joseph Ness.
Do you have anything to add to Richard's report?
The only thing is, I was just to make the comment that there is a few pieces of equipment sitting out there, and my intention is to plant some trees and and try to keep them more towards the back of the property versus the front, if there was any concern with that. So,
Okay, is there any questions from members of the board at this time? Seeing none, I'll move to the public hearing portion. Is there anybody in the audience that is for this? Is there anybody in the audience that is opposed to this? Seeing and hearing none, I'll now close the public portion of the hearing. Is there any additional comments or questions from members of the board? Seeing and hearing none, Richard, would you read the findings of facts?
Brookings County zoning conditional use permit 2023 CU 009, an application for a conditional use permit having been filed with the Brookings County Zoning Commission, acting as a board of adjustment, a copy of the application being attached here too. Such application being made by Joseph Ness regarding the following real property. Southwest 1/4, except 1 acre and except H3 in section 23, township 110 north, range 49 west, Aurora Township, located at 47610 US Highway 14, Aurora, South Dakota 57002. After due notice, a public hearing having been held on the application on the 2nd day of May 2023. Number 1, the Brookings County Board of Adjustment hereby finding that it is empowered to grant such conditional use under the following sections of the Brookings County zoning ordinance. Brookings County zoning ordinance, Article 11, Section 11.01A, Agricultural District, conditional use number 20, home extended business. And further finding that the granting of the conditional use will not adversely affect public interest. The Brookings County Board of Adjustment further finds and certifies that the following specific rules governing the conditional use request have been complied with. Landowner Sanderson Farms by Alan Sanderson has no objections for a conditional use request for a home extended business. Number 3, Brookings County Board of Adjustment further finds that satisfactory provisions and arrangements have been made concerning the following where applicable. A, entrance and exit to the property and proposed structures therein with particular reference to automotive, pedestrian safety and convenience, traffic flow, control, and access in case of fire or catastrophe. Main entrance is off US Highway 14 with a second entrance off 476th Avenue for the building site and farm machinery. B, off-street parking loading areas where required with particular attention to the items on A above and economic, noise, glare, or other effects of the conditional use on adjoining properties or properties generally in the district. No on-street parking, no loading or unloading of machinery or vehicles on the road. C, utilities, refuse, utility and service areas with reference to locations, availability, and compatibility. Do you currently use a dumpster service now, Joseph?
oh, no, I don't, but I
Okay.
can get one.
Okay, we don't, that's kind of our general, we just put it in there because most of the time they do, but if you take it to the landfill, that's fine, or get rid of it, it's,
Yep.
we can take that out of there. Do you burn your garbage then, the burnable stuff?
Yes.
Screening and buffering, the reference to type, dimensions, and character, none stated. E, signs, if any, proposed exterior lighting with reference to glare, traffic safety, economic effect, or compatibility and harmony with the properties in the district. 32 square foot sign is allowed. F, required yards and other open spaces, none stated. G, general compatibility with other properties in the district. Comprehensive plan met for the agricultural district. H, roads providing access to the property are adequate to meet the transportation demands of the proposed conditional use. The Board of Adjustment may require the applicant enter into a written agreement with the affected township or other governmental unit regarding the upgrading and continuing maintenance of any roads used for the conditional use request prior to the issuance of a conditional use request. US Highway 14 is a federal highway and meets the transportation demands of the conditional use request. I, any required notifications to law enforcement or the fire department for any hazardous material spills on site, or you must also notify the Brookings County Emergency Management Office. Any safety inspections required, any inspections by state agency for licensing requirements. Number 4, the Brookings County Board of Adjustment further determines on the conditions this conditional use upon the following special conditions or safeguards. A, following Brookings County zoning ordinance, chapter 4.06, aquifer protection, performance standards in section 4.0606. Storage of petroleum products, storage, fuel, and oil exceeding 55 gallons must have secondary containment. Used service fluids to include engine and hydraulic oil and filters, transmission fluid and filters, antifreeze, freon, etc. must be disposed of in accordance with South Dakota Department of Agricultural and Natural Resources requirements. D, State Department of Revenue licensure required for the sale of used motor vehicles, trailers, farm equipment, farm and/or construction equipment. Brookings County Board of Adjustment, by at least a majority vote of its full members present, hereby grants the above petitioner a conditional use for the above described property as follows. Conditional use number 20, extended home business for sales of used agricultural and construction equipment, pre-owned motor vehicles to include semi-tractors, trailers, ATVs, new trailers, new short-line agricultural equipment, and limited equipment repair for the public. This conditional use permit is specifically conditioned upon initial and continued compliance with all the requirements in 3 and 4 above, and upon compliance with all applicable provisions of the Brookings County zoning ordinance. If approved, the Brookings County zoning director is authorized to issue any required building permits for construction consistent with the requirements of this conditional use permit. If this conditional use permit is not used within 3 years of the date granted, it shall be invalid, dated the 2nd day of May, 2023.
Are there any additions or corrections of the findings of facts?
Mr. Chair, I find that this application meets the requirements of the zoning ordinance as long as the findings and facts are followed, so I concur with the findings and facts.
Thank you, Mr. Troyan. Richard, would you call a vote?
Excuse me, Paulson.
Aye.
Sturhog. Aye. Kleinjohn. Aye. Vanderwall.
Aye.
Gatsky.
Aye.
Troyan.
Aye.
Erickson.
Aye.
Bartley.
Aye.
And Ford.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Moving on, department reports.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I do want to report I was out of the country for 2 weeks, and the farm equipment in Japan, the size of their tractors are about the size of one of your guys' rear tires on your tractor. Little bitty things. And, of course, where I was at, I was over on the more of the city side and rice paddies and stuff like that. They've got a little miniature combine. It's fun to watch them sometimes. And when I was over there in the 70s, they had what we would call one-eye water buffaloes. They'd be little two-wheel machines with a cart on the back, and they could put any implement on there at all. They've grown up from that now, and they actually got like four-wheel Ford tractors, and they're all miniature, real small. And their crop season is full in bloom. All their family gardens and everything's just full of vegetables and stuff. So they're a little more advanced weather-wise than we are. The coldest it got over there was like 45 degrees. So other than that, it's been a slow month. Today we've got a fire, red flag conditions out there. We expect that to continue on. Low humidity. As long as the humidity stays low, we're going to be all right. But just remember, 1 year ago, May 12th, which is next week, is when that big storm came through. So if the weather patterns change, it starts to get humid and a lot of rain, then we could see big thunderstorms start up again. And just have to be careful out there, get the crops in while you can before something like that hits, hopefully. That's all I got. Richard, do you have anything for him?
Yep, we got a couple items here. Going through the zoning ordinance here, we found one section that we need to look at, and it'll be on next month's agenda item for correcting that section of the ordinance. This is in the commercial section of the ordinance. After doing a little more detailing and a couple other requests here, we found a mistake that was in there. Well, here this is. It has under permitted use, under the commercial section, single-family residence, including manufactured modular and mobile and modular homes. Well, that is a mistake, so we're going to be amending or updating the zoning ordinance to remove that section next month here. So, single-family residents are not allowed on commercial property, so we're going to get that cleaned up here next month. For that, we have another question up here by Lake Hendricks. This is some Lake Park property. These two lots are 1.2 acres each. Gentleman is looking at those. These are non-lakefront lots. Looking at building a house there, a shop with living quarters in that. But also he has a trucking business with grain hoppers that's his business. He trucks grain. Wanting to know if he bought that property, if he could build his house on there and then park his semi in the truck, in the shed every night, coming and going. This is a county road right here. With just majority of the properties in the Lake Park district, and just getting your thoughts if that would be a allowed use up there with that extra traffic on there in the Lake Park district versus, the other sheds that are built that size were for mainly recreational vehicles and boats, and this would be for a semi going in and out daily on there. So, any thoughts on that? He would have to apply for a home extended business if he did get the property, but I said nothing is 100%. It would have to be applied and gone through you, the board, for approval of that. So, any thoughts on that? It's a county highway, so it's anything. Springtime, it's farming, you got trucks going down there to get maybe some delivery trucks going to Hendricks Lumber, elevator, could be anything on there. It's a blacktop county road.
Yes, I wouldn't have a problem with it if he's on a blacktop county road and not like over in the blue squares. That's houses and garages, right?
Yeah, this is Dakota Shores right over here. And these back lots were just permitted here within the last 5 to 7 years. So
To me, this is kind of like when Vance applied to build that shed that Nicky never built at the Owl. But he had a sidewall greater than the Lake Park District height at that time. But he was, same thing, on the edge of it, more towards the agricultural spot. We let him do that, but it never produced, but we allowed him to do it.
yep. And each case is on a case-by-case basis, so. That's all they had there. Just an update on Dan Howell's conditional use. We applied for his Class C CAFO. He was in some of the programs that he initially applied for is getting a little short on funding for this year, so he's not for sure if he's going to qualify to have any funding to help with his building expansion and stuff there. And prices have gone up substantially with building materials, so instead of building one large facility, he's looking at now possibly building 2. I said, as long as you get started on there, it doesn't make any difference to our office or the board, but I will bring it to your board and keep you informed. If you have 1 building or 2, as long as you go forward with your conditional use application on the CAFO. So that's what I told him. Anybody have any objections to that or anything? Okay. Luke, did you have anything to add regarding the zoning ordinance update or anything on there?
No, just look forward to seeing you guys in person next month.
All right, that's all that I have, so.
I'll see you Thursday, Luke.
We can't wait. We're making room for you.
Is there any need for an executive session?
No, sir.
Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn? Motion by Erickson, is there a second? Second by Paulson. All in favor? Aye. Meeting adjourned.